All right, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Good job. Napkins.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another edition of the show with no name. This one for February the 17th, 2012. This is the first hour. We're going to try to break it up into 2 segments, or we will or we won't, depending on whether we remember to do the things we're supposed to do. Our technical director today is me. The audio director is me. The video director is me. I'm Bob Going. This is Gavin Murdoch and Jim DeKosher. We're going to have our breakfast while we chat a little bit. Here we're at the Go Where I've Been Coffee House and Polish Deli on Lower Upper Church Street in Amsterdam, New York, and I can't wait to get into these eggs with provolone and maple sausage here because it's just fabulous. Fabulous. And Sue Blazewski herself, the proprietress, or is it proprietrix? I'm not sure.
I'm a Trex.
Yeah, she's a Trex. The proprietrix of this establishment, this fair establishment, is personally made these for me. What do you got? You got a Blaze McMuffin there?
Blaze McMuffin,
Wow.
absolutely.
All right. And Jim, you got the coffee?
I got a coffee.
Yeah, I got a decaf because
Plain old coffee.
I got to keep my head about me as we do this important program. All right, we haven't been on in 2 weeks, so a lot of news has come and gone during that time period. First, I'd like to devote some time to Whitney Houston. Okay, now getting into
Important things.
Gary Carter.
That's important. That one also.
Gary Carter passed away, Hall of Fame catcher for the New York Mets. You know, I was about to say something about 1986, but I decided not to because it's still, you know, it's kind of one of those perpetual nightmares for me. Yeah. One of those little Spagnola kids. I forget whether it was Brian's kid or Robbie. A few years ago. About 8, 9 years old at the time. And he meets me at the football game at the high school. And either his father or his uncle introduced him to me. And as I say, I can't remember whose kid he is. And he looks at my hat and he says, "Oh." Now, mind you, he's like 9 years old 2 years ago, right? Says, "You're a Red Sox fan, huh?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Yeah, too bad about that 86 series, huh, Mr. Going?"
Well, for the Mohawks banquet last week, they had Mookie and Bill Buckner
They did.
as their guest speakers.
And Bill Buckner is, contrary to popular belief, was beloved in Boston.
They gave him standing
They loved him when he was playing there. After the 86 series, he was traded away, but he came back a year or two later and got just a tremendous welcome from the Red Sox. And then I forget whether it was last year or a year before, opening day, they got him to throw out the first pitch without announcing who was doing it ahead of time. And he walked out of the Green Monster and the crowd went nuts. They love him. Really? He's a good guy. You know, everybody makes a mistake once in a while. His wasn't the only mistake in that game.
No, it wasn't. It was just the last one. He still had another game to make it up.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
While Oil Can Boyd was apparently doing coke, according to the latest stories,
I saw that.
which came from him.
Yep.
That could account. You see, I could not understand why McNamara did not use Oil Can Boyd in the 7th game. He brought Hurst in, who had been doing great, but it was on like 2 days rest at that point. Hurst was in his prime, had a great season, and had won the 2 games that he had pitched. So they, you know, you bring in your best and hope for the best. Oil Can Boyd, I don't think had pitched in the series at all, and he was a pretty good pitcher. He was well rested, and when Hurst got in trouble, the logical move is bring Oil Can Boyd in, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Logical to you, but it wasn't logical to the.
Well, now maybe we know why. You know, maybe the manager was well aware of what he was doing.
Oh, I felt good. I felt good, but
Anyhow.
Anyway, what else has been going on, Gavin? What was that soccer video you sent me the other day? That was
the overhead kick.
that was amazing. Yeah. Now, what was that from?
That was from last Sunday's game that he played up in Clifton Park. Our team had a throw in, and the boy they threw it to headed the ball back towards Misha, took one bounce, he picked the ball off the bounce, flipped it up one more time, and kicked it over his head and right into the goal.
It was fantastic. I mean, he had his back to the goal, right?
Yep.
Had his back to the goal, and it looks like the keeper had didn't even see it coming.
No, he flipped up and came in, and then I watched it a couple of times on video. But
I mean, that should go viral. That one. That was one of the greatest shots I've ever seen.
The thing that amazed me is after he kicks it, he turns around and watches it, and he has an expression that says he expected it to go in.
right.
Nobody else did, but he sure did. So yeah, they had a good week. And I want to put a plug in while we're talking about him. And on Friday, March 2nd, down at the Scotia Glenville High School, the Scotia Glenville Pipe Band will be having their annual spring concert down there. And it's their last big performance prior to going to Scotland this summer. So we encourage anybody who has any inkling of liking bagpipes to go down at 7 o'clock.
Wait a minute. How many bagpipes are we talking about here?
How many bagpipes in the band? 20.
And a bunch of drums, right?
Yeah. You have to have drums. I
Right,
don't know why, but they have to put drums.
Well, so,
Pipe and drum band.
Give the Perry kids something to do.
Yeah, I think we've got about 10 drummers, a couple bass drummers, a handful of tenor drummers, and a bunch of snares in there. So
And it's going to be an indoor event?
Yes, it is. They all don't play all.
I should be able to hear it then.
You should be able to hear it well, yeah. But everybody is finalizing their airplane travel to Scotland this summer, and
you're not going over together? You're not chartering a plane? Or?
No, we're not chartering a plane. A lot of people use this as an opportunity while you are in Scotland to do some traveling around prior to or after the world events. Some people are going down to England, some will go over to Ireland.
Are you going to France?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, okay. You're that far?
No.
Just hop on the train, go through the channel. You're there in a couple hours.
Yeah. We thought about it, but we really need a little bit longer than what we're going to be there for.
How long are you going to be there?
Well, we're going to be there 11 days. But there's 3 competitions. The World Championships are there, plus there's 2 other competitions we participate in, and then they have rather extensive practice sessions every day while we're there, up there. And we're staying in Stirling University, up in Stirling, which is a little northwest of Edinburgh. And
across the Firth of Forth?
4th or 5th?
No.
Or quarter 4.
The Firth of Forth?
Firth of 4th. Yeah, it's up that way.
But it's on the other side from Edinburgh?
Yes, it is. Yes,
okay.
It's on the other side.
You ever seen the Firth of Forth?
No.
It's magnificent. Let me tell you. Standing on the battlements of Edinburgh Castle, you really get to appreciate the topography of Scotland and what a magnificently beautiful place it is. We've been there's a detective series where the detective is a constable up in the Scottish Highlands named Hamish Macbeth. MC Beaton series, and she's been doing these apparently for a number of years. And back in the mid-90s, they had done BBC did a series with Hamish Macbeth. So I had gotten a couple of the DVDs for my wife for Christmas a couple of years ago. We never got around to watching them all, and so we picked out a couple the other night to watch. What you don't even have to pay any attention to the plot, the characters, or anything else. The scenery is so magnificent. Just wow! Can't wait to go back. The train up from London. Well, I guess we took it from Leeds. From Leeds to Edinburgh. Goes up along the North Sea. It just kind of suddenly approaches this high bank over the North Sea. My wife is sleeping through this. I'm trying to look at this view. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. And You know, for them it's just ordinary.
Well, yeah, they see it all the time.
Yeah,
You don't appreciate what's in your own backyard.
yeah. Nor do we. You've been, I don't know, do you follow, have you been following the, I grew up in Amsterdam, New York on Facebook?
Yes, I have.
The last week or so, a number of people have published an amazing number of old pictures.
Who is Christine Orr?
She was, she's your age. She teaches at the middle school now. She's Christine Eggleston
At Lynch?
at Lynch. And Chris, when she was in 7th grade, came to St. Mary's. And so she was in my class. She was a very bright girl, and she was a year, they put her a year ahead. And then later, you know, her father was a guidance counselor, thought better of it, and pulled her back. But she ended up going to like 5 different schools because every school he went to, she went along. But you know, the family was from Amsterdam originally, and she's kind of grew up in. Well, at that time she lived in Tribes Hill, and then later Fort Plain, St. Johnsville. So anyway, she, not unlike myself, has this photographic memory of 7th grade. So she found me on the internet. I mean, she remembered who I was. I had not seen her in 40 years or talked to her or anything else. I had any contact whatsoever, didn't even know she still existed. And she contacted me on Facebook and then conned me into doing career day last year at the middle school. As a famous author, by the way.
What's this website?
It's on Facebook. It's the group is I Grew Up in Amsterdam, New York. Right. Wow.
The pictures are, and the stories are great in there. I mean, absolutely. Especially the one she's been putting in.
And what's nice is people are starting to put personal stories related to the pictures, which really adds another level of depth to it. I mean, one of the big discussions was, when did Healy's Park close? Before my time, when did Healy's Park close?
Before my time in Amsterdam.
Wow, and it really has been a long time.
Yeah.
Because I just remember it, this is up in Perth, just above the Perth Four Corners.
It had that big slide.
They had the big orange slide, the rusted out spiral slide,
Right.
which is the only spiral slide I ever saw anywhere, I think.
And it was rusted when we were kids.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a dam in there that dammed up that little creek. And you had that in
Right.
there. And
Oh, you're talking about the skating rink?
Well, they had a roller rink up there, among other things.
That was there when I was young.
roller rink was?
Yeah.
But I don't think the.
It's across the street from the Perthshire, same creek.
They weren't using the.
I think it's a
the
McQueen
dam.
Creek, if I'm not mistaken.
They weren't using the pool when I was around though.
But, I mean, my father went there as a kid, he told me about it, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was a big trip everybody took.
Yeah.
That was the source of Amsterdam's water for a while, believe it or not.
Was it really? That creek?
Right there. I think that's why the dam and the lake were there, is because it was the city's first reservoir. And a few years ago, I hope you all enjoy me eating my breakfast here.
Very good.
It is terrific. It only lasted 3-4 years. I mean, they spent all that money. They ran the pipe from that reservoir to the Kellogg Reservoir at Wojcicki's Grove, right, up behind Amsterdam Printing, and from there down into the city. Well, I guess it took about 2-3 years to find that this great environmental achievement they made by making safe water for everybody. The water was polluted, so it wasn't any healthier than the water that was coming out of the wells that were attached to the sewers. So that's when they built Glen Wild, and and so the first fortune they spent running the line of McQueen Creek went down the tubes. Now, not all that many years ago, since I've been an adult, there was some puzzling drop of water pressure or something like that, and they found out that line from the McQueen Creek was still open. They didn't even, at the time, they had forgotten, nobody remembered it even existed, and apparently it tapped into the other line somewhere else, and it created a big disturbance for a while until they were able to seal that off. I don't know. You talk about something now.
But speaking of water, I see in the paper that the bottling company wants to do Johnstown's water.
And of course, Mike Sierra worked on that for years, trying to get them to do Amsterdam's. Yep.
Missed opportunity.
Yep.
And there's a couple articles and editorial this week concerning the controller's position, which has been Alphonse Gastown in there. You know, everybody's pointing their finger at somebody else who didn't do what they're supposed to do. You know.
What did Harry Truman say?
The buck stops here.
Yeah, you know, down there, I don't think they can find a buck to stop it.
Well, that's one of the problems. They can't find where the bucks are.
Yeah.
Today she said on the radio that they've got about $500,000 in the fund balance.
Who said that?
She thinks the mayor. She was on the radio.
Well, that's pretty bad. If that's the case, that's like having nothing.
I believe they have nothing. I don't believe they have that much.
Because the $500,000 fund balance is probably includes uncollectible taxes.
Probably. Well, that's included in the tax revenues, uncollected taxes.
Yeah, but never enough.
No.
Yeah.
I thought the comments that the present controller, Ron Wisbicki, had to say in the paper were, you know, enlightening. And then, of course, when you had the old controller in there, it started like, well, I didn't do it because that wasn't my job. I don't know. And the person who was supposed to have left, so it's not my fault. And, you know,
well, look, let's examine the facts. Heather Renicky was there for close to 5 years at that point, okay? Because she had come the year before her election.
right.
So she'd been there like 5 years. Now, tell me, in 5 years you can't learn everything your office is supposed to do. It's not that complicated. And and if you haven't learned, it's because
You haven't taken the time.
you haven't taken the time.
You haven't taken the time.
And you ought to know that crises do come up. You had a member of your staff indicted and carried away, so you lost that valuable resource, really. And frankly, you know, I don't think it's telling tales out of school that she and Ann Phelps are not getting along. And so it shouldn't have come as a big shock to her that Ann would be looking for a job somewhere else. And it should have come as a less of a shock when you realize that, you know, Ann's former boss, Kim Brumley, is moving up and there's the big vacancy in the school district. I mean, you know, you didn't have to be Karnak to figure that one out. That was coming,
And she knew when things
and then after it happened, she still made no effort to do it.
No.
All you got to do is call up somebody from the state controller's office and say, "Help! You know, I'm in trouble here." But she didn't do that because she lost the primary in September, and then she could have cared less at that point.
She sold.
Yep. Achilles went to her tongue. That's kind of a mixed
Metaphor, but that's all right.
mixed sexual metaphor.
It should have been done, and she was responsible.
Of course, and for her to come out swinging at this point is so absurd. It's not my fault. It's a person who worked for me's fault.
Well, now
Holy mackerel.
she needs another job, so now she's got to try to defend herself, so that she puts the blame on somebody else. So when she goes for an interview, well, it wasn't my fault. Of course, I don't think she has to go for an interview. She better go to work for her grandfather. And I think she was doing that when they first took over the business.
That's okay. We'll let that go. Let's stick to municipal issues.
Well, yeah, that's part of the municipal issue.
Wow.
And now, you know,
But is Ronnie going to be able to figure it out?
he indicated that
He will be, but it's going to take time.
You know, and it makes it tough because when they ask him questions now, Yes, I don't know because he hasn't gotten to the bottom of a lot of
Fact of the
things.
matter is, they weren't doing things right to begin with, and that's one of the things that was frustrating Ann Phelps. I'm sure it frustrates Ann Thane too, if she thinks about
The
it.
common council.
But they kept using that fund balance like it was a pot of gold in the back room, and they ignored the budget. They adopt the budget and then ignore it because we got this fund balance and we can just dip into it anytime. Well, where's the money going to come from? Well, it'll come from the fund balance. And then they overrun their budget lines without any consideration, without even knowing what's in the fund balance. So at the end of the year, oops.
We hope.
I don't know, did they even ever reconcile last year's budget?
No, that's the problem.
If they had, they would know the answer to this.
That's the problem.
Holy mackerel.
They're still trying to put together.
Wow.
And Ron is trying to reconcile the numbers from last year's budget with this year's figures, and they're having problems. They can't get the numbers from Fonda. Well, they're getting them, but they're not
Oh, come on.
They
I swear to God, Michael Chayer would have the answer to this within 45 minutes if he had the access to the accounts. All right? All you got to know is how it works. It isn't. It's math. What money do you have? Where does it come from? What are you obligated to?
I don't think he's figured out how much money he's got that can go there yet.
No, you've got to have the closing of last year's figures in order to figure out what this year's figures are going to be.
North Carolina, a kid brings to preschool a bag lunch consisting of a turkey and cheese sandwich,
Saw that.
a cookie, a bag of potato chips, and I think apple juice. Right?
And he
Right. Now, which is exactly what my mother would have packed for me in any year from 1960 to 1969, but for the fact that instead of the apple juice, it probably would have been an apple. Okay? And it probably would have been potato chips wrapped in wax paper instead of a bag of potato chips because it costs more to buy them by the bag, and she would have bought them by the box.
And you would have bought your two penny milk carton at school.
Hardly ever. And God forbid that we would want chocolate milk, because that's another
3 cents.
penny. That would have been 3 cents. Forget that.
Yeah.
No, what I used to do is I used to unpack the milk crates in the cafeteria, and they'd give me a free milk as my payment.
So the kid goes to school and walks in the lunchroom,
Yeah,
and then
So then the North Carolina Health Police come in and they inspect every kid's lunch, and determined that because there were not 2 fruit items in this lunch, they tossed the bag. Tossed the kid's bag, gave the kid the cafeteria lunch, which consisted of chicken nuggets, which is like that pulled, what do they call it?
Pulled pork?
No, it's not even that good. It's the mechanically separated chicken nuggets,
Parts, yeah.
right? Which the kid ate like 2 or 3 of and threw the rest out, and that was all the kid ate. So the kid got no nutrition whatsoever because the nanny police. And then to add insult to injury, they send the mother a bill for the kid's cafeteria food. Now, are we nuts or what?
there are some people who are. I don't think we necessarily fall into that category.
But I mean, is that this is the whole?
Well, I think
This is what the Obama administration is doing with everything.
well, they sanctioned that teacher today. And according to the paper, they told her that she was wrong.
It wasn't a teacher; it was a state inspector.
No, it was a teacher first of all that told it, I believe.
And remember, this is also the administration that quantifies ketchup as
As a vegetable, yeah. And pizza.
pizza. Okay.
Oh, pizza is one of the most nutritious foods there is. We learned that in Lamaze class, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty healthy then.
That's
But,
right.
it just goes to show the depths to which they want to regulate
Everything.
every piece of your life.
Well, you know, I was talking to a teacher in another school district the other day, elementary school teacher, and she was telling me that in her school district, they send the kids home on Friday with 6 meals for the weekend. And it's not enough that they eat 2 meals a day in the school. They send them home with 6 meals to get them through the weekend. The parents are responsible for nothing. Nothing.
Where's this?
Nearby. Not our school district, but I wouldn't be surprised if our school district's doing it.
We've taken all responsibility away from parents and the individual. They've taken upon themselves as the government, and you know that when government does something, it doesn't come out the way it should. Okay.
And I don't even know where to begin with the Obamacare stuff. First of all, this one-size-fits-all health insurance, which we've already started doing in New York. People are in different situations, all right? And different age groups have different needs. Different economic groups have different needs. For example, I've got a single son who's now an adult. And, you know, as a reasonably healthy adult, he doesn't need a health insurance plan that will cover his every need and copay, right? He doesn't have to have something that will cover every circumstance. He does need to be protected from catastrophic things. But if his ordinary health needs are usually under $2,000 or $3,000 a year, then he's much better off getting a plan that just covers. Look, if you get a serious illness and you end up in the hospital, it'll cover that. So his needs are. There's no need for him to get all the rest of that stuff. Other people, you know, it might be different. Now, in his case, he might have more of a need than a similar guy his age because he's got a health history where he had some problems in the past. Maybe you want to be protected a little more from that. But you know what? That's your decision to make.
Most teenagers, and right up until their young adult life, do not need the doctor's care from probably 14 to about 25.
Yeah, once you got your inoculations, you're right. Yeah.
They probably never see a doctor within that period of time.
Nope.
All right.
But they wanted to carry life or health insurance.
So now you get this one-size-fits-all plan where everybody has to be covered for every trip to the emergency room, every time they get a sniffle, and what's going to happen? Of course, you're going to use it to the max. And is the price of your health insurance going to go down? No, it's going to go skyrocketing.
You know,
because you're going to be using it when you don't really need it. And if you had to think about it, you wouldn't use it. You use it because it's available.
And you look at the number of people who use the emergency room as their primary care doctor, who
Right.
not only take up time down there for
Right.
people who actually need it, but you also run the cost of it up because it's astronomical.
Right.
Go in the emergency room rather than waiting
Right.
a day, call your doctor, go in and have him check you out and
Right.
take care of you. You know, because it's there. And you're right.
Right.
If people have it, they're going to use it.
Right.
And it doesn't mean you're using it wisely just because
Right.
you have it.
Right. Right. And I don't know whether were we talking about this before about the doctors coming to the house and stuff like that. When I was a kid, we had a family doctor right out of Norman Rockwell. His office looked like a Norman Rockwell picture. He lived in a nice house on a hill, and he had a little office. And he would come. You know, we had the chicken pox. He'd come to the house with his little black bag, check everybody out, or take everybody's temperature. You know, boil the thermometer on the stove, chit chat with the housewife, and give you a bill for $5.
If he gave
Because there was no health insurance. But I mean, people weren't. Carl Strock said only semi-facetiously some years ago that the best way to control health costs is to eliminate health insurance. Because if you eliminated health insurance, no one would have the audacity to charge the prices they're charging. Now, number two, the real issue for why medical costs are so high is the damn lawyers. The medical malpractice in states, particularly like this one, which seem to have unlimited juries, are killing the medical profession because the cost of medical liability insurance is out of this world.
To have a doctor have to
I mean,
pay
you're talking six-figure, yeah, high, mid six figures, some of them, just to stay open. Now, that's crazy, particularly if you're a good doctor.
You're paying for somebody else's mistakes.
And and in the states where they've restricted the medical malpractice awards, the cost of insurance is lower. Romney Care is supposed to by spreading it all around to everybody, was supposed to lower the cost of everybody's insurance, and it's the highest in the country right now.
The more people they put in a risk pool, the higher they raise the rates for everybody. It's not just those folks.
Now, a huge controversy in the last couple of weeks with Obama deciding that Catholic schools and even convents, when you get right down to looking at what's exempted and what's not, have to pay for contraception, morning after abortion pills, all this stuff as part of the mandate, and it has to be provided free in the health insurance coverage. Okay, number one. Even the thought of the federal government requiring people to buy a product is so absurd that the Supreme Court's probably going to toss it out. But then to mandate, and we do this in New York, nobody pays attention to this stuff. We do this in New York, where we say, well, if you offer a health insurance plan, it has to cover this, that, and that. Whatever feel-good group is strongest that week, right? Well, or are you against breast cancer? Okay, well, okay, we're not going to. You're for breast cancer unless you have to say we have to provide free coverage for every test and and all that stuff. I mean, all these things are good things to talk about. If I had if I was looking for a health insurance plan for my family, I'd say, well, this is good. They're going to cover this. That's my decision to make, not some guy in Albany saying you have to do this so that the cost of everybody's goes up, including the people you're trying to help.
And every piece of legislation that is approved comes along with a new department, which has to be funded, and they're the ones who write the new piece of legislation that's going to cost more money for what they're covering. There's no legislation that is written anymore that is free. It costs. Okay, and that's part of those unfunded mandates that people complain about. They're mandated.
Listen to this. This is Catherine Jean Lopez on National Review Online late yesterday, I guess. Yesterday afternoon. She talks about this contraceptive mandate, etc., and the issue involved. And she quotes Bishop William Laurie of Bridgeport, Connecticut, who she says offered a useful political parable this morning about a fictional law that requires all businesses to serve pork, including kosher delis. Now, going back to our turkey and cheese sandwich story we just began with. So somebody in Health and Human Services, those people who draw up those charts that make kids fat, the nutrition charts, the nutrition pyramid that makes everybody overweight. Yeah, all those geniuses down in Washington. Suppose somebody in the Agriculture Department or Health and Human Services decides that, we got to get people away from red meat. We got to go to the white meats. We got to go to turkey, chicken, and pork.
There you go.
And we're not talking anything much different from what Bloomberg is doing in New York, determining how much trans fats are allowed in French fries. Okay, all right. We're not going too far from this. So he says yes. So the federal government mandates that if you're going to have a kosher deli, you have to serve pork, because
somebody might want pork.
And if someone complains about it, the kosher deli says, but it's against my moral principles to serve pork. You know, we're kosher. We don't.
My right to eat it. I don't care.
Here's what according to his parable, this is what the government would tell him. But pork is good for you. Right? That's one thing. It says, so many Jews eat pork anyway, and those who didn't should just get with the times. And those Orthodox are just trying to impose their beliefs on everyone else. Is that any different whatsoever from what the federal government is trying to mandate the Catholic Church to do? Bishop Laurie's parable is, it's absurd for someone to come into a kosher deli and demand a ham sandwich. It is beyond absurd for that private demand to be backed with the coercive power of the state. And it is downright surreal to apply this coercive power when the customer can get the same sandwich cheaply or even free just a few doors down.
There is no choice.
Will our nation continue to be one committed to religious liberty and diversity? We urge in the strongest possible terms that the answer must be yes. Unfreaking believable. And what's worse is the people who don't get what the issue is. I mentioned the convents earlier. I think it's called the Sisters for Life, dedicated to serving pregnant women and counseling them against getting abortions and then providing for them and their children afterwards. A wonderful group. Should get all your money if you want to make a donation. They've looked into this and find that convents are not covered as an exempt. Religious orders are not covered as one of these exempt institutions because they're not a church. Okay, so we're not even talking about a 13-month delay. They would have the Sisters for Life would have to provide abortion pills to the cook who comes to work for them. Okay, according to the law as laid down by Barack Obama. Now, I hope this foments some kind of a revolution in this country, but the so-called compromise, we'll just call it something else that he came up with, I mean, that didn't fool anybody. Well, fool MSN. You know, oh, well, this is terrible that they would compromise like this when they should just shove it down everybody's throat. What the heck does the First Amendment mean when it said Congress shall not prohibit the free exercise of religion if this isn't it? If you have to pay a fine to the federal government in order to practice your religion, in other words, if you say, no, I am not going to provide health insurance and I will pay the fine rather than cover these things which we consider a moral evil. Anyway, I'm voting for Rick Santana. That's it. If I get a chance.
There's some discussion this week down in Albany regarding a piece of legislation trying to pass this cabaret law, which would require businesses to have any sort of anything going on besides serving alcohol to pay.
Amplified music.
Yeah, amplified music. So places that have open mic night or karaoke or have a Celtic band come in some night and play would have to get a special license.
Churches that have a choir.
Or a church that has a choir in the rectory hall performing on a Thursday night would have to pay a fee or to purchase.
I'm sorry, like the Mohawk Valley Chorus plays in sings in the Second Presbyterian Church.
Yes, the Second Presbyterian would have to get a license.
I'm sorry, United Presbyterian Church. I forgot they merged.
Okay.
Would have to get a license.
Yes, they'd have to get a license to have that.
That's in Albany County.
Yeah, Albany County. Yeah, and the merchants, of course, the downtown merchants are upset because it's another pick on them to cut down on the money. You know, at a time we're supposed to be encouraging business to do things that bring business in. They're cutting back. They're chopping them off at the knees.
Anybody who's got amplified music. I just unbelievable. Just unbelievable the laws they try to pass.
And the purpose of this is what? Because if the music is too loud, there are noise ordinances to take care of that.
It's one of these things that it quacks, it walks, it looks like it's a tax.
It's a tax.
Just like your school districts are putting a utility tax on, of 30 cents on your electric bill to help fund it. It's a tax.
Right.
Okay? It's a tax. I don't know who's trying to pass this one to have a 30 cents a month charge put on your cell phone.
Cell phone, that's Gloversville, Johnstown.
Yeah, it's a tax.
Well, speaking of cell phones, I mean, did you see how much it's costing us on our cell phone bills to give free cell phones away to people who...
And they won't have to pay the 30 cents?
They don't have to pay the 30 cents! Or anything else.
Are you kidding me?
We're talking in the billions, Yeah.
Insurance is...
Everybody has, and you know, and what are they using it for? You know, do their drug deals. You know, I mean, some families have multiple free cell phones. Insane.
Yeah,
when did a cell phone become a human right?
Since Obama.
Since Obama.
Everything is...
It probably predates him, actually. But that's one of those things that just kind of suck through. Oh, this is good. Because Congress loves that kind of stuff. Because it doesn't cost the federal government anything. It costs you directly. And that's crazy. You know what? If I want to provide a cell phone to a poor person, I'll provide a cell phone to a poor person. But don't tell me it's a freaking right and I have to pay for it.
You know, having been in other countries, when you see people in other countries who are poor, they're poor. They lack many things.
Right.
The poor person in this country is simply the guy who doesn't have to get up and go to work every day, who gets everything provided for him.
That's the only difference. He doesn't have to go to work.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing that we aren't going to do.
The poorest person in America is probably in the 1% around the globe.
In other places, absolutely right. We do not expect anything of anybody except somebody who does something. We expect them to pay for everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it the guy who founded Facebook? The multi-billionaire, whatever his name is. Yeah, I mean, there were people seriously looking into a special law just to tax him when he made Facebook go public.
Yeah.
You know, because look at all this money he's going to be getting.
Yeah, he's going to
oh, excuse me.
$20 billion.
You know, I don't care what. I don't know anything about the guy. I don't know him personally. You know, but he came up with a great idea that worked. And we're going to punish that? Good for him.
You know, we discourage people from
shouldn't be allowed to have all
doing those things because
take half of what he made.
So speaking of the school district, you probably follow this stuff more than I am. It looks like the school district's in financial trouble again.
Could be 2.3 down plus, but they're getting 1.2 additional monies. They're going to take some money. They're going to take money out of the fund balance to try to bounce in, and he says it shouldn't cost an increase in the levy. However,
except that the levy went up 26% last year, whatever it was. Yeah.
You're still paying that amount.
Right.
It's not a freebie. You know, and you see, Fonda's in dire straits. They really are going to be up short.
Of course, we went up to I forget what it was. Well, it was different everywhere you went. Some of the places it was huge. The town of Florida got really killed last year.
Yeah.
Fonda did not go up much at all last year. So some of these things just wait till it hits them. Now, Broadalbin Perth has gone up so much in the last 3 years.
Broadalbin Perth, if you remember though, when they merged, they got a whole lot of money. So for a long period of time, they were able to subsidize the district without going to the taxpayer. And now that runs out and things change. Plus, you look what's happened up on the lake. A lot of their property is up near the lake, and the assessment rates have gone way up. You know, and school districts are expensive. You know, especially when you have contracts that have to get rolled over because of triborough. And everything is going up, and I don't know what they're going to have to do. They're going and they also passed the Homo imposed his new evaluation system on school districts.
Yeah, tell us about that, because I didn't get a chance to read about that.
They're going to quantify evaluations basically and have a percentage of evaluation based upon a number of things. You have to include classroom observation, how the teacher is doing. You're also going to have to include how students do in that particular teacher's classroom on assessments, whether it's a state assessment, whether it's a regents exam, or whether it's something the district's going to have to create to measure that. Because there truly is differences from one teacher to another how successful their kids are, because there are teachers who are better than others, you know.
Really?
Yes, there are. There's some very good teachers, and there's some great teachers, and there's some that should not be teachers.
By the way, Gavin Murdoch, before we went on the air, got some high praise for his own teaching skills. He's not going to bring that up now, but he was one of them. Right?
Is that right?
You were one of the great teachers.
I don't know about that.
You hope
Yeah.
you were.
You were.
We all worked hard. But the thing that makes it difficult is that from year to year, what you're getting in front of you to teach varies.
Right.
Some teach, you know, the guys teaching the honors class and the advanced placement classes, you know, even if he stinks, is going to have good results because he's got good kids. A teacher who's got a mixed bag of nuts in front of him every day, it's going to balance out. It's going to get balanced, and teachers are concerned, you know, how is that going to be?
Right.
How does a special ed teacher going to get evaluated? You know,
Right.
How's the gym teacher going to get evaluated? How many kids he can teach to dunk that couldn't dunk before? You know, it gets a little messy in there. But I think ultimately it's going to get some people to
Yeah, but
look
those are
at
those things
themselves.
that can be refined over a period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think teachers are going to look and say, you know, regardless, I have to do a better job. We need to get better
I
better
was gonna
results.
say, that's the only thing that'll change is that some of the teachers will try to do a little better job.
You know, and then you sometimes see examples of, there are some teachers who can teach any kid. I mean, they're rare, but it is amazing what some teachers can get out of kids. And you can't teach people how to do it. You gotta.
It's got to be.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I saw an incredible video the other day on YouTube. I think it was posted, and it may have been posted in response to my Latin video, which, by the way, is kind of going viral. I'm getting thousands of hits a month now on that one. It's being taught in Latin schools, Latin classes all over the country. Anyway, it's like a 20-minute segment of a guy teaching conversational Latin. And it looks like they're like junior high school age kids, maybe like 9th grade, 8th, 9th grade, something like that. And everything in the classroom is in spoken Latin. And you say, we never got that far. We got the weeny weedy weeky wingo, but that's about it. And it is really amazing, and it looks like an inner city school. I mean, it's certainly a mixed race classroom, and nobody looks. And everybody's enthusiastic. So
It all depends upon the person in front of the classroom. I truly do believe, that if Stu Palzak from FSM High School offered a course on how to pick up horse manure in your bare hands, kids would sign up to take that class.
Right.
Because he
He's
has
that
that
kind of teacher.
intrinsic ability to have kids want to be around him because of the quality of person that he is,
and makes
his ability
everything
to
interesting.
transfer it to the students. He has great results, but kids want to be there. It doesn't matter how hard he makes it or how easy they want to be around because he has that ability. And there's some things, when I was a principal, I told people, I can show you how to build a lesson plan, I can tell you what you should teach, but I can't give you that magic that you have to connect with kids.
All right.
And he's got it. There's a lot of people have it, and there's some people, if you could put it in a pill, they drop the pill and they still never get it.
Perfect example, Barbara Hitty, who has been kind of running an independent preschool for any number of years now. She was a teacher of the year when she was down in Texas in a school district. Came up here, taught pre-K at St. Stanislaus, and when they closed, she brought it down and rents space from the Assembly of God Church and runs the Noah's Ark preschool. Now, two of my kids who are now grown up and doing very well, and now my granddaughter has her. These are 3- and 4-year-olds. Okay, they learn every song, every lyric. they learn every single state of the union. They sing this. They sing the state song, and Laura just goes around all the Alabama, Alaska, da 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 da, Ohio. And they'll do a graduation recital at the end of the year that'll go on for like a half an hour, where every kid is doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Every kid has got their part down. You saw the video of her doing the angel thing.
Yeah. But
wow.
But this teacher.
Do not be afraid. And you say, these kids, I mean, the oldest kid is 4 years old in this school. And unbelievable. And it's not just my smart kids and my smart granddaughter, it's all the kids are doing this. And they come from every background imaginable. And wow. So, yeah, I mean, but you got to be really gifted. And she's got that perfect blend of personality, intuition, and smarts to get it done.
Yep, that's what you got to have.
And you couldn't do a course in that. You could not do a course in that. But if you get the kids interested, nearly all of them will learn, one way or another.
That's right.
And
depending upon the person from the classroom.
And I guess at this point there's only 2 schools in the elementary level in Amsterdam that are even passing the minimum state guidelines, and that's Berkeley and St. Mary's. And all your magnet academies are flunking. So I don't know what the answer is. You weren't involved in that caper, were you? Renaming all the schools into magnets?
No.
Well, the whole idea of making the magnet school was to keep the
charter schools out.
Charter schools out.
Right. I don't know. So we got a school board election coming up pretty soon, I guess.
Ray Crosby was on one of the local radio stations yesterday, and he didn't indicate, so I don't know if I'm going to run again or not for the school board. He said, I enjoy what I'm doing, I like what I do, and I think I'm doing a good job, but I don't know if I'm going to run again.
He's up this year?
He's up this year. I think...
I don't agree on a lot of things that he's putting forward, but he seems to be a very knowledgeable person about school board and school business. But like I say, I don't agree with everything that he spouts. But
I don't agree with about anything he does.
He seems very knowledgeable. Somebody asks him a question, he give him an answer. He doesn't hesitate, and he doesn't hem and haw about an answer. My comments. I hear silence on so.
I'm thinking, here's what I'm thinking. I did this once before, last September. I'm thinking you should be running for the school board, Gavin Murdoch.
Well, that's for sure. That's for sure.
My job requires that I work Wednesday evenings.
Well, we can change that.
Yeah, we can change that. We can change that.
The current changes, the city meetings.
We can change your job.
I see Schenectady's in a big fix this year. They just
Notice he didn't say no, right? Huh?
No.
Can you think of a person, really, seriously, can you think of a person better qualified to be on the school board than this guy? Former superintendent of schools, former high school principal, knows where all the bodies are buried?
I can see
Yeah.
Schenectady just hired a new superintendent. They're looking at closing the school down there. They're looking at doing some mergers. They're looking at a real big shortfall in
Is he the guy that the Chevy and the Cadillac is?
Interestingly, Schenectady, they are talking about school mergers and closing schools, but their school population is up. And I find that hard to believe. I mean, I don't know.
Gloversville just lost the superintendent. They had run the interviews. They decided who their candidate was going to be. They're going to hire him. And the guy says no because they didn't want to live in the Gloversville school district. He would have had to move within the district. Yeah, and I'm sure they gave him a.
Well, you know how that is.
Window. Yeah, I know how that is. Window of time to do it, but he didn't want to do it. I want to do it. We just the inability of selling a home in Amsterdam.
Now, would you have been able to find a home up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, But you know, they're talking about doing some things with the state university system, not allowing the university system to continually increase the tuition. They're outpricing, they say, a lot of our students. You know?
Well, excuse me, somebody's got to pay for it.
And that's not one of the guarantees in the Bill of Rights either, I don't think. Right to a higher education.
I believe when I went to SUNY Albany, lo these many years ago, for the first 2 years, the tuition was an outrageous $200 a semester. And then when you get to your junior and senior year, they figure they'll weed out the people who are, they'll get the real students the junior and senior year. The junior and senior year, it was $400 a semester.
And didn't your Regent Scholarship cover a good chunk of that?
Regent Scholarship covered it all. I had a $2,200 a year Regent Scholarship or something like that, and I managed to only save the state like $1,400 a year or something like that. Yeah. The Regent Scholarship was a good thing, and it's gone now, right? Completely.
Yeah, and when they were running it, you know what the award was? $250.
That used to be the TAP, which went to everybody, I think. But one of the, I'm sorry, when kids work hard, get good grades, develop good study habits, and finish high academically in their schools, and are able to pass a standardized test which shows that they've mastered these abilities, they ought to be given scholarships and encouraged to go on and make the state a better place by making them, it's when they decided, we can't. It's punishing the dumb kids by giving the Regent scholarships out. I mean, that's what it was all about, right? It wasn't about we don't have the money to do it. It wasn't that much money when you get right down to it.
No, it wasn't.
But no, we should be deciding these things on the basis of need, not on the basis of merit. Well, okay. There's a place for both. Right?
Yeah, California. Actually, California's a place for everything.
Well, California. Everybody wanted to go move to California because the state system was completely free at that time, until fairly recently. How are we doing here? We're about done for the first hour here. Those of you watching on, of course we're not going live, so look for the next button to push, and we'll be right back as soon as you push it. I'm Bob Going with Gavin Murdoch and Jim Nikosha. This has been the first hour of the show with No Name.